Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
To the Yates show. This is he on the mic this time. Haven't been here for a while. Hey, thank you guys for sending me those emails. We did some reruns on some of the most exciting shows, and all the shows is exciting. I get that, but you guys have been really, really nice to us and supporting us. And today I have this wonderful special guest in the house. So I'm not gonna, because we have a limited time. And as you know, we go through this every time, how quick time goes by. But today is going to be extra short. So what I'm going to do is just this young man that has become a friend of mine, international traveling, and just such a spiritual guru. And that sometimes when I need a shoulder to cry on, I call my brother Ishmael Tetteh. Thank you for being here, brother. I haven't seen you in a while. You just how long have you been?
Excuse me.
Yes.
You know Brother Ishmael because of.
She's gonna help me out here, I guess. I mean, I was about to get on a roll here, but
Well, no, we have to first begin at the beginning.
You had to help me with the beginning.
Well, I'm going to help you with the beginning. Oh, those of you who are listening, this is Carolyn Wilkins.
Yeah, I'm sure they know by now.
And I am so appreciative of being on again today with Brother Ishmael Tetteh. But I just wanted to make sure that Larry initiated the conversation for those of you who don't know, that Brother Ishmael Tetteh came to our lives with the work that I have been doing and my travels to Ghana, where I met him in 1998. Mm-hmm. You may continue, Mr. Yates.
Yes. Well, between us, had she waited, I was going to get to that. But that's okay. Because, actually, I appreciate that because, I'm nervous. I don't get nervous by interviewing anybody. But so Carolyn recognized my nervousness, and because my respect for this man that's sitting before us is just unbelievable, off the hook. And he and I talk about, Brother Tetteh, you and I talk about spirituality and nature. So we're both nature fanatics along with the spiritual world. And I just want to appreciate and thank you for coming here. I've been looking forward to this for some time now. But Carolyn, because of time is of the essence, give us a heads up on what we're talking about today.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to interview Brother Ishmael Tetteh in general about the work that he's doing in the world regarding nature, and a workshop that is coming up in a couple of weeks will be on June 13th. That's what we said last time. And this is a couple of days before that workshop, and we just want to reiterate the conversation around it, why we're doing it, and what it has to do with nature, which is what Brother Ishmael says is his teacher. And we're going to be talking today about nature and peace.
So, Brother Tetteh, tell us about this. Tell us about nature and peace.
Nature is her own imperative. When the sun wants to rise, it rises.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, it will rise. And if it wants to rain, it rains. And similarly, when we wake up to our own imperative, knowing who and what you are, and how to express yourself, then you experience peace. I mean, what is peace? Peace is not the quiet of the graveyard. Peace is the identification and free expression of your innate potential. If you don't identify your potential and you see others expressing theirs, you feel cheated, lost. That causes internal confusion that will give birth to external confusions, conflicts, and wars.
That's
If
very
you also
powerful.
identify it and you cannot express it, you cannot be your own imperative, then again it causes the same internal confusion and external confusions, conflicts, and wars.
So what you're saying is that we are all a part. We are all the sun. We all rise and set as the sun does.
We do, and we are closely, everything in nature is affecting everything in nature. For example, women see their menses every 28 days. And the moon goes around the earth every 28 days. And the moon affects the ocean, giving it high tide and low tide. And the moon affects also the emotions of everybody on the earth, giving you high tide and low tide. And when you are not able to balance the effect of the moon's influence on you, you are called a lunatic.
Well, don't call me that. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Well, so is this going to be part of what your workshop is going to be about?
This workshop is more about you as a frequency. Everything in life is a frequency. Everybody is having a sound. When I knock this, it has a sound. And when you knock your glass, it has a sound. And the question you need to ask yourself is that, what is your nature's sound? Every bird has got its sound. Two birds of the same species will not sound the same pitch. They all have unique frequencies. What is your unique frequency? Often as we're growing up, we go through what we call second image. Second image means negating your own identity in preference for other people's identities. At the end of the day, you attract experiences to you which should have belonged to other people, and you are then lost, confused.
This is where people get lost and can't find their own identity.
They can't find their own identity. They can't find their purpose. Life is a struggle. They don't know themselves. But if they can just discover their own life sound.
Now, is that part of lining themselves up to a natural rhythm and the vibrations of the universe as we know it?
You see, if the bird sings in the morning or sounds its pitch, that pitch or that sound is a sound by which the universe knows that bird. So you also have a life sound by which the universe knows you. If you are not vibrating at that frequency, you are internally scattered, and that will confuse your thinking.
So you become off balance. You're spiritually off balance at that time. And balance is a very important concept as far as
emotionally, mentally imbalanced, struggling for something that is not there. But once you begin to vibrate your own sound, you optimize your thinking, your feeling, and you start making the right choices.
Well, let me ask you a question. Where do you think I'm a firm believer, and some of you are going to call me out there, but I think there's a lot that goes on inside the mother's womb as far as there's a learning process that the child inside the mother's womb can pick up on vibrations and sounds around it. Where the mother is going through different mood swings or whatever, whether the father or the mother are in the environment outside of the womb, whether someone is playing loud music, rock music, or jazz or whatever, I think the child becomes connected to that allow them to spiritually kind of put things in order. But at what point after the child is born do we cut it off and make the decision for the child?
In fact, when the child is in the womb, the child was actually building his or her body, and at the same time building his or her sound. So in spite of all of the sound from the mother, from the external, the child is building his or her own unique sound as well. Now the child comes to the world, and all of these sounds are around us. And I mean, not only the sound of the mother. You know, you've observed a child is crying and the mother makes some noise, as I will put it. We call it the lullabies.
Okay.
And even though it doesn't make any sense, but there's some rhythm and frequency that is in harmony with the child. And when it is in harmony, the child stops crying.
This is true.
So you realize that the child has a frequency. Now, somebody may also sing even softly, and it doesn't move the child.
So, because, let me ask you a question. That's a good point, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that happens to adults too. For instance, two people that is connected in this thing that we call love, and one is feeling a certain type of stress in their life, and if the partner embrace him or her, and they rock each other, and just in some silence, just whisper to each other, that tends to come. Is that the same type of thing we're talking about?
That is, if the two people are in rhythm with themselves. You see, you know, there are some people who are not touch people. When they are not touch people and you hug them, you may rock them and it will rather turn into anger. But when they are touch people, right, many people do not know, for example, that each person operates through 2 or 3 dominant senses. Mm-hmm. There are people who are sight people. There are the smell, taste, touch, and hearing people. Mm-hmm. So I normally tell a story about my wife and I. Mm-hmm. You want me to tell that story?
Please, because I have a story about Larry and I that I can add to it.
Okay. You know, my wife, I would have probably turned my back to that beautiful genius if I had not known the power of the senses. Because from courtship, if I were to hug her, she will find good reason to escape from my hugs. When I ask why, oh, you are a man of God, and when somebody sees you hugging a woman, they may have some thoughts. But darling, we're going to get married. Oh, people don't know about that. In the bedroom, the same story. I lie in the south, she lies in the north. And till today is the same story. If I succeed in even coaxing her to the middle and hug her, she will find a way to escape to the south and I'll be lying in the north. And I used to think, this woman is not affectionate. If I had agreed with that thinking would have made me to think of other negative thoughts around
Okay.
her. But then I had to ask myself, who is this woman? This is a very wise woman, very intelligent, and very, caring, the most caring woman on the planet. Very intuitive and wise. So how could I say she's not affectionate? Then I started studying her senses or how she operates, and I discovered that she operates from the sense of sight and hearing.
Right.
And I operate from the sense of touch and smell. It's possible I was demanding too much of touch, so she was running away.
So let me ask you a question then. Does this same principle, like you take the child, and I'm going back to the child again, and the child connecting with his mother because that's the one that touches it the most, and finding that alignment and that vibration, is that a building process between the mother and child? Because Carolyn, you was really close to your mother.
I was.
Yeah, you were close to your mom. And was it kind of sort of the same as you as you grew up? Did you look back to how the embracing and the hugging of your mama was?
I did. She was not that much a touch person either.
Oh, she wasn't?
No, she wasn't a hugger. And she was sight like me. And so her associations were around sight and hearing, because she wanted to be heard. She wanted, if you spoke properly and said the right things that were soothing, that was appreciative.
Well, tell me more about the workshop, because I'm only moving forward because of the sake of time. What is the workshop itself called?
Creative sound, discovering your creative sound.
Mm-hmm. It's organic spirituality and your creative sound.
Organic spirituality.
Organic spirituality means...
Carolyn, explain. Okay, someone explain that to
me.
Well, you missed that. Basically, we are nature beings. From inside you to the ends of the cosmos is nature. And if you want to live harmoniously with yourself, you have to listen to nature and go by nature's laws and principles. Nature has its own spiritual laws and principles.
And see, you're not, what I like about you, Brother Tetteh, and you and I have had this conversation lots of time, but for the audience, you're not a religious man.
I'm a spiritual man.
You're a spiritual man. Did you grow up with a particular religion? Or
I grew up with Christianity, and I am a Christian, but I'm not a churchian.
Like that.
There's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
But at what point did you start to apply the elements of nature around you? Because you and I talk about this, but for the audience sake.
Larry, the story of my life is a very complex one.
Yes.
My brothers will tell you about how I would go into a trance, and I'll go to the forest and bring some herb to my father and say, this person with this problem, use this herb. And I never remember doing any of those. But right from childhood, I'll go to the trance and I will make things happen. And right from age 5, I was doing healing. I remember it was before age 5 because I started school age 5. And that was the first time society thought I did a miraculous thing when I called my brother to come out for us to play soccer. And apparently, he has been sent to my grandmother to pine to death because doctors have given up on him. And I wanted him to come out for us to play soccer. So I said, I'll pray for him. I went in, prayed for him, and within minutes, he was up and out and we were playing soccer. So that's how the story of my life began.
You've always been in tune with a certain type of vibration and in line with some of the I call myself a cosmic citizen, so people laugh at me, but I don't call myself an earthling. I'm a cosmic citizen. But actually, going back to the childhood, what you explained that kind of stood out to me is that although you may not have been conscious of yourself being yourself, that probably was the most higher part of you. Mm-hmm. And then going back to nature, the plants and animals, and let's right now for the herbs and plants, they all give off vibrations. And they give off vibration. If it's a poisonous plant, it'll give off a vibration, say, be careful with me. It doesn't say don't use me or find a way to create a use for me, but it just says be careful with me. And then there are vibrations of plants that tells us, oh, take us in because this is what we can do. Am I off basis here?
You are perfectly right. If you know how to communicate with plants, and that's something that I teach. I take people on retreat, and we speak with the plants, with the stones, with the birds. There's a way that we can communicate with the universe. If you will even find your own life sound, is a sound by which the birds know you. Mm-hmm. Very early, I could hold snakes in my hands and play with them, and they wouldn't harm me, and the adults were afraid. And I was just playing with
So they're picking up on your vibration and you theirs.
Yes. I mean, maybe I was sounding in my authentic self. So they didn't find any reason to harm me.
I tell you something, I used to be embarrassed to say this to people because they thought I was kind of I'm kind of wacky anyway. I am kind of wacky, no question about that. But there are times when I'm not feeling good. I've not been the healthiest guy in the world. I just look like it. Yes, I look very healthy. But there are times that I can go in a grocery store or go see the food and stand next to it, and my system would tell me, do not pick this up today. Mm-hmm. Now, on other days, I could walk there and pick up the same food and it wouldn't be any problem at all. But there are days that I can go into a restaurant and the smell and say, no, don't eat this today, and turn right around. So that's, yes. And
thank you. That's the way we should live, because you listen to your body. Bible says your body is the temple of the living God. If that is so, there are angels in your body. There are angels worshiping in your body who guide you. Nature did not drop us here to fend for ourselves.
Wow,
Nature supports all of us.
Giving us the tools to work with, huh?
We
Carolyn,
have all
you
the
gonna
tools.
Carolyn, you're gonna be participating in the workshop.
Absolutely.
What are you
yes.
going to be doing with the workshop? Tell us.
Well,
about the
I'm
workshop.
I'm actually hosting the workshop at
Oh, wow.
Agape, and our Global Works Ministry is the host of the program. So I'll be participating. And Brother Ishmael and I have been working together for many years,
Since 98.
since '98, and I've helped to edit books and to write programs and create brochures and do tours for him.
So Global Works is really getting more involved in this particular
Well, it's
type.
two
or-
sides of me.
It's two sides, yeah.
Part of it is what I am doing.
Yeah, but you
on
do
a
a lo-
personal
yeah.
basis, and then the other part is Global Works.
Yeah, because you do. I mean, oh my God. I just want to thank you. I forgot to. The reason I forgot to thank Carolyn for the other shows that she hosts when I wasn't here because I'm jealous. But I forgot to throw in that little bit. I thanked you off the air, well, you know that. But I really appreciate because I get a lot of good emails about what you're doing and the work that you do.
Thank you.
And I've learned so much from this lady, and it's just unbelievable. So I won't talk about me, but what does the workshop means to you?
Well, I had the opportunity to support Brother Ishmael in Oakland, and a shout out to Reverend Doreen Hamilton, who is also the engine behind Conscious Humanity, and that's the U.S. organization that manages the work of Brother Tetteh. And we were both in Oakland at church and did this workshop already. And I got a chance to see people getting their own melody. And
Getting their own melody. I
Their
tell you,
own
that's
soul.
a
creating
big
their
one there.
own melody. And the process that you use to get there is not necessarily easily defined, but it's something that is a very powerful process that helps you get a sense of who you are. And some of it's based on the name that you've been given, but others is based on sounds. And once I had mine, which is very interesting, and actually we did some testing on what notes vibrate with you. And I was so in touch with that actually the week before I got sick from being in a workshop because someone used the sound during a workshop that made me ill. They kept playing the sound over and over, and it was supposed to be a ritual and a healing process. And the more they played that note, I became physically nauseous.
You know, and a lot of people don't realize that, but that's very true because, you know, as many years I've been in the studio, we've been in the studio sometimes and had to make sure that, wait a minute, this particular sound kind of causes a headache. This particular sound doesn't feel right in the throat. So we generally try to pick sounds that feel right in the chest and in the stomach. And so you know that there's been lots of studies that said that we have brain cells in our stomachs. And that's where we get a lot of some of our decision making is coming from our stomach, not necessarily our mind. But a lot of, let me just say this as well. You and I talked about that when you told me that. I mean, because you can take one person, you can take 5 people to play the same note. If one person having a bad vibration within him or herself playing the same note, then that note will be delivered to you in a negative sense. You will not. And I've seen this happen so many times in the studios when you around these guys, like some of the masters, you know, your Quincy Jones and stuff, and the guitar player come in, he's the horn player or the singer come in and he or she is having a bad day, come in, maybe been in an argument in the car on the way to the studio, and you get on and you can feel the vibration. Now he's reading the music is written, and he's hitting the notes just like it is written, but he's delivering his negativity along with the note. And I think that's probably a little bit what happened to you when that note made you sick.
Yes, I almost left the workshop, but I was able to get through deep breathing. But while I was in the workshop last week with Brother Ishmael, what I saw was people light up. as they got their own sound and their faces lit up, and it was just something that's really indescribable to find out who you are and what makes sense to you. And it's not a process that if I described it, you would say, "Oh, that makes sense," because it's not a logical
I'm
process.
looking at your face, how that must have affected you. So for the sake of time, I'm gonna throw out a crazy word out there, one that no one knows the meaning of, and see does it fit in this whole thing. Love. Talk to me about love and the part that love play in this.
First, what is love?
That's what I'm asking you, because I don't have a clue.
because many people talk about love and you ask them what is love, and they believe it's just that animalistic sentiment you have for somebody. But love has a definition. Love is seeing the good and the divine in yourself, or the possible good and the divine in yourself and in all of life. If you don't see the good and the divine in yourself, you cannot love you. The moment you begin to see what is praiseworthy in your life, you begin to love you. And when you can see even one quality of good in the so-called enemy, your energy shifts towards loving that enemy. And that's how you can practice love. But see, talking about sound, if you don't love you, then if you are not even sounding right, you cannot even love you. You meet with people, and within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel tired. Their energies have drained you like vampires. What you need to do is to run your own sound mentally, and it balances you. You cannot escape from all the sounds, the honking of cars all around you. But you can do something with you every morning, so you are so strong and stately, you go through the day and nobody's vibration can interfere with yours. So you are living your genuine life. Before you go to sleep, you sound your own life sound. Birds do that every day, morning and evening. So animals know how to do it, but humans, we've forgotten. We are so trapped in sophistication that we are no more in tune with our nature, with our own being. So you can't escape all of these negative vibrations, but you have the right and responsibility for your own self to sound yourself back into harmony with the universe.
Let me ask you a question. Is that this is more of a question, is that kind of the root of when I think it was more like the Buddhists or monks does the hum? Is that part of finding your own sound? I know that's kind of watered down a little, not watered down, but a little bit not. Yours is a little bit more fine-tuned to a personal, individual sound, where can be more of a group sound.
That's correct.
But even the group sound, that they have proved with that kind of line you up in more of a positive vibration. Is it called an om? What is it called?
The om chant.
Chants.
We have some groups also. I think Ekanka, they have the hue sound, almost like the om, and I believe they are all quite good. But when you come to your own soul melody,
give me an example. Give us an example of coming to your own soul melody.
Now, your soul melody could be just do re mi.
Okay.
But how do you find do re mi? So there are techniques we will show in the workshop that will help you know that your soul melody is maybe do re mi, and then there's something we call life fulfillment sound. When you find your life fulfillment sound, you sound it. If your life fulfillment sound is then you have to sound it and you sound it till it leaves your body to the outermost part of the universe. You find you expanding with your sound. When you sound your soul melody, it expands you, it connects you from here to the ends of the universe. You are the universe.
So why don't you share your sound?
Would you please?
When we teach it, we always tell people that your sound is private.
Oh,
keep your sound to you.
I like that.
Yes,
I like that.
It's your soul melody.
Well, okay, let me ask you this, because I'm throwing some wide nets out here. Because as I'm speaking to you, I'm remembering when my mother or would walk around the kitchen or the house, that was okay. I know that wasn't politically correct, mother walking around the kitchen, but hey, she cooked for me. That's not a negative thing. It wasn't McDonald's. Thank you. Anyway, and you hear your mother hum in her favorite song. She's not singing it. It's just humming her favorite song. My mother was a terrible singer. Mom couldn't sing. But she could get caught off into her moments and doing what she needed to do for the family, and her humming her favorite songs or favorite melody I remember how it used to make me feel so good just to hear that. And is that some of the frequencies that we're talking about here?
It's possible that as she was humming, she was hitting some of your own soul notes.
Gotcha.
So you were in tune with her. And once you know your own soul notes or melody, you will know how to connect your melody to other melodies. Mothers intuitively pick up the soul notes of their babies. And it shows in the lullaby that they sing for them. But over time, then the child grows and then they forget and nobody gives attention. If every mother will go back to the child to the time you were singing the lullaby for your baby, you will observe that there was some specific notes you were always hitting. And it comes to you naturally and effortlessly. And you don't know why you used to say, Another mother will have a different one. So why were you using this particular one? Me, do, re, do. Did you understand?
Yes.
There's some melody there. Then we forget it as the child grows. But you have to pick that sound. That is the gift of the sound you have to treasure and give to the sound to the child. And with that sound, the child can break through any barrier. When you are your authentic self, look, let me share with you how even we started this sound. That was the early 80s. And I was having the case. You know, for this year, my ministry in Ghana, we are 40 years old. For over 42 years, I've been practicing healing. And we are building a very big hospital on 3 floors, natural medicine on the ground floor, allopathic medicine on the middle floor, and spiritual medicine on the 3rd floor. It's in operation now. The middle floor is not in full operation. It's not in operation. But the ground floor, the top floor, are in operation. And somewhere in the early 80s, I think 81 or 82, I had a case, and this guy happened to be a keyboardist too. And he will get into epileptic fits about 4 or 5 times a day. He will get freedom for about 2 days. Then he will get into the fits, and when it comes, it's so shameful to him. Very honorable man. So I was directed on how I can enter into his body and pick up his soul frequency. So I picked it up and I showed him his sound. And all he needed to do was to play his melody every day on the keyboard. Now, since I gave it to him, he's had an attack, I believe, only once.
Wow.
And that was because after some time, he stopped playing it.
Well, you know, I love that story because we've come at the end of the hour, and this went by so quick. And which clock are we looking at?
You have a little more time.
I have a little more time because I love you talking about that. So tell the audience what is one of the greatest benefits of finding your own sound.
When you find your sound, you can bring you back to yourself. You've got nothing until you have you. You can now gather your thinking. People meditate, and whilst you are meditating, you find yourself doing what I call cockroach meditation, roach meditation. Because you are meditating, and yet a roach has fallen on the hand, and you are focusing on the roach instead of the meditation. When people are meditating, that's the time the thoughts they do not like keep coming to their minds. The way to bring the mind to focus is to invite you home. Come home to yourself.
Come home to yourself.
With your own sound.
Wow.
Then you can think right. Then you can focus. Then you can feel right. When you are upset, the only thing to do when you are upset, make that sound mentally.
So
and
this
like
is
magic, the upset departs, leaves you.
And it's a tranquilizer.
So this is why instinctively you find people that find their favorite song So although they haven't found their own personal sound, but they have found something of their sound in their favorite song.
And when they play that song, then they are very creative.
Yes.
And when you
Or
sound
soothing, or
Soothing.
relaxing,
Correct.
or encouraging dancing a whole bit. And you love to dance, Carolyn. So I know when you hear that right note or that right sound, is that means she's coming in connection with her sound. So now what we have to do is identify those sounds and be able to do it at will whenever we choose to.
correct,
Consciously
then you are creative.
and intentionally. Yes. When I was traveling many years ago, I was in South Africa and traveling with a friend. And she told me after about 8 days or so, she said, "Do you know you hum all the time?" And I didn't. I wasn't conscious of the fact that I was humming. But after she mentioned it, I realized that I always had a tune
Right.
at my disposal. And I know that it is similar to the sound, although my sound is different than maybe some of the things I was humming. But I know how valid it is to be able to go just catch yourself and bring something up in your own hit parade.
In your
that-
own hip parade. I
that
like
is
that. I like
supportive.
that.
You don't need the Billboard top 100.
And I think that's now. See, that's what's I think is so great about now. That was a very valid, important statement that you made. That you don't need outside. You don't need group. You don't need Billboard. You just have it within yourself. Once you find that sound within yourself. So I'm just fascinated. I got to come and see what this is all about. I'm gonna go and check this thing out, because out of all the things that I've studied and listened to shows and stuff, and I'm a musician. I play several instruments, and I know how important it is, and I know that there are certain chords that I can hit, that I just pick up the guitar just to hit those chords, just for me, not playing for anybody else, and I know what it does for me, and now I'm gonna have to ask Brother Tetteh to help me find my own sound. So are we about
Almost done, but let me announce where the workshop is. Again, it's called Organic Spirituality, Your Creative Sound. It'll be held at Agape International Spiritual Center on Saturday, June the 13th, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And you can register or find out more information on agapelive.com. AGAPELIVE.com.
Well, thank you. Well, Brother Tetteh, the way I end the show is I always give the guests some last word of wisdom to give to us. So give us a few words of wisdom to say goodbye to the audience with.
All I would say is that join us in this program. This is the first time I'm teaching it out of my highly advanced mystical group in Ghana. This is the first time I'm teaching it to the world, and I invite you to come and discover it for yourself. I've not been coming to this country for many years because we've been very concerned about planet Earth, and we believe changing one soul at a time will take too long a time. So we are using nature's elements of the air we are breathing, the water we are drinking, the sunlight, and the earth to change the vibration of the earth, trusting that we will now breathe wisdom into our souls.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. You got to give us a thank you, Brother Tetteh. That was just wonderful. This time has gone by so fast, and I say this all the time. So, Carolyn, would you like to say a few words before we close?
It's just an honor and a privilege to be a part of the spiritual community with Brother Ishmael, as well as the other work that I do. And I'm so touched that he is a friend, a mentor, and someone that is elevating the work of peace in this world.
Well,
I believe in peace in our lifetime.
Yes.
I thank you so much. And, I really can't put anything on top of all that you guys have said, because I just think that find your own sound, your own
To
vibration.
invite you home to you.
To invite you home to you. Be connected to something and get to know what you're vibrating with and in tune with, and find your cosmic connection with the universe and Mother Nature itself.
Yes.
You can't go wrong. Remember, a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman. This is Larry Yates. Poop. See you next week. Thank you.